You are all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. We'll call the Town Hall Renovations Project Building Special Meeting to order. Mr. Barron, would you please take the roll, sir?
Yes, members are asked to signify their participation when their name is called. Council Bedrejko.
Here.
Council Minor.
Here.
Mr. Claffey. Mr. Mortensen.
Here.
Mr. Murtha. Mr. Woods.
Here.
Mr. Harpy.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you.
Jeff, for record, Mr. Claffey is on.
Thank you. Thank you. Entertain a motion for approval of prior meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second,
Don moved.
Rod Mortensen.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Project update, Downs. Frank, please.
Sure. Thanks, Joe. I just want to inform everybody, Chris O'Neill is not making it to the meeting. He called me just before the meeting was starting. All right.
Ahead there, Joe. Hold on. We've still got public participation. We do have one individual in attendance.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I did not see that. Public participation, any member wishing to speak, please raise your hand if you'd like to participate during the public participation. And state your name and address when you're recognized. Thank you.
Nope, I don't see anything, Joe.
Okay, hearing none, well then we'll move on to the project update. Frank from Downs, please.
Okay. Starting with the financial summary, give you the rundown here, starting with the approved changes. So approved changes from the last committee meeting totals $998,223.72. And that brings our revised GMP value to $28,759,212.72. The between pending and approximate, I really just have pending changes at this point coming out of the owner's contingency. There's nothing left in approximate to field. So we've got $7,620.44 in pending, and that would adjust our anticipated GMP value to $28,766,833.16. At this point, within the CM contingency, with the COPs we have queued up for approval this evening, and also in a pending state that we will review at another committee meeting. We've essentially exhausted all of the funds remaining within the CM contingency. So there is $0 remaining within the CM contingency. One thing I want to point out while we're on this subject is that over the course of the project, we have given back $285,000 of our CM contingency to fund the owner's contingency, which is roughly, if my math is correct, about 35% of the CM contingency has gone back to the town to assist with the budget constraints on this job. All right, we'll keep moving on onto the owner's contingency. We started with $868,405. Approved to date is $860,665.64. The pending amount that I mentioned, the $7,620.44, is what we have prepared for approval this evening, leaving us with $118.92 remaining in the owner's contingency, and that does not include any day two work. Within the owner's soft costs, again, this has remained unchanged as far as my reporting goes. I know there's been expenses incurred against owner soft costs, but we were not instructed to track any of those costs. Therefore, I'm showing the value we started with as a revised soft cost, $1,706,810. And within the CIP funds, we understand that a portion of the the funds we recently received, we had presented changes against. The approved amount from the last committee meeting is $217,122.54. And in pending, we have roughly 55,000, and within the approximate value of changes that we are reviewing is about 49,000, leaving us roughly with 5,000 remaining in the CIP funds, again, excluding any of the day 2 work. The total project budget remains unchanged from our last meeting at $30,473,762.80.
Any questions of Frank on that part of the presentation? Okay, Frank.
Okay, so to give you a snapshot on the schedule, we're getting closer to wrapping up on site until the spring. As far as work completed, I think we were pretty close on the generator last time we spoke. The feeders, obviously at this point, done. The relocation of the generator has been done. Startup went well. Testing was not an issue. The subgrade for the parking lot, when I updated this a couple days ago, I had it pegged as complete. With the storm, it set us back a day or so. By the end of the week, we'll be complete with the subgrade. The fiber up to the PD, that's all completed. We had a couple infills to do with respect to masonry at the PDs to enable the masonry veneer, so that work is done. We had a column support at the corner of the dispatch along the front of the police department. That reinforcement work is now complete. The walkway along the west side of the town hall, that is all set. And if you guys recall, we did have an issue with the hardware at the gym divider not being up to code compliance for ADA, and we have since retrofitted the gym divider at no additional cost, and we are waiting for a final approval from the town in order to get a TCO to use that gym divider for the gymnasium. That's work completed. Work in progress. We're down to a handful of items here. Obviously, the skin at the PD, the brick veneer, that's an ongoing effort. We're under poly now with the winter weather. We have temp heat going. We're about 6 feet high on the east side with brick, and I believe we got about 18 feet total height there along the east side. We're looking at the possibility of adding a second crew to start the veneer on the south side so that we can essentially divide and conquer the veneer for the PD. The parking lot light fixtures, I was on site this morning. The guys had started to stand up all the lights, and I believe as of this afternoon, we have all the lights raised up. We have wires pulled to the bases. I don't believe we're tied in at the panel yet, but hopefully by the end of the week, we'll be able to energize those light fixtures so that when we do leave and come back, after we leave rather, you will have illumination of that phase 2 area. Placement of the sidewalk, so that continues after we finish the town hall. We're continuing concrete placement along Garfield Street, and I believe we have a pour scheduled for tomorrow, and we're also working on lining up another pour for Friday, and we'll probably have a little more work into next week to finish up the sidewalks at Garfield. The owner architect punch list items, we've worked through most of it. At this point, most of it is specific to the gym. We had some masonry patching to do. I know that we had the painter lined up to go back in there and take care of some touch up. And then we're waiting for some warmer weather to address some of the wash down around the community center that's on the punch list. So we will address that come springtime. And then work on the horizon over the next, really the next 2 weeks. That's what we're talking about, aside from the parking lot and the plantings and seating. We're down to finishing up the roof at the PD. Once the area dries out a little bit, we will do the roof removal and replacement. And then following that will be the new roof drains. We do plan to reconfigure the fence just slightly, the temp fence that outlines the limits of phase 2. We will adjust it slightly to give back some of the parking area. Approved change order work. So far the split system for human services. So that work is coming up. That's going to happen over the next few days. We're going to implement the new cooling for human services to address the overheating of those refrigerators. And then the PD lights, that was something that was approved at the last committee meeting, and we'll be working on that very shortly. And then, of course, the parking lot, the signage, the planting, the seating, that is planned. I just put early to mid-spring only because, as some of you know, the weather is kind of tricky in April. I've been on jobs where, it snowed in April, and we could see that again, but who knows? So if we want it to be April, but it could be May before we get back to take care of the parking lot and the landscaping. Other critical items, the day 2 work.
It's Joe. Before
Yeah.
you move on, what's the estimated completion date of the PD?
We are looking at, I want to say the 19th right now, February 19th.
So we'll be ready for occupancy on the 19th?
Yeah.
Good. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, we can come back to the PD. There's one issue that I want to go over. We're going to get to that when we get into the changes.
Yep.
So we'll get to that shortly. But other critical items and milestones, again, the day 2 work, I understand that we will not be addressing the day 2 work as part of this project. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's correct. Mr. Chapman is we haven't guaranteed anything on these items, but he's said he's going to evaluate it as part of the CapEx program that the council's going through. And we'll see what happens. But he understands the importance of them, and he also understands the limits of our finances.
Okay. Well, I still have the list here on the agenda. We will get to that and see what's there and how that stacks up and whether or not we still want to defer all those items. But we will get to that shortly. The demobilization plan for the site, really there isn't much left at this point. The trailer did leave our site. The office trailer is gone. There is a small laydown area next to the trailer. I think there's just a couple Connex boxes over there at this point. And I know our superintendent is working with our subs to get those out of that area as soon as possible. There's a couple of drainage structures that the town said they want. And I believe our super is coordinating a pickup for those items. And that's all that pretty much remains. I mentioned the fence and reconfiguring the fence as part of our demobilization plan, and we will, as I said, we will have lighting in that area while we're gone. And that's pretty much it as far as the demobilization is concerned. Does anybody have any other questions regarding the schedule?
Any questions on the schedule? We're going to get a new schedule, correct? Printed up?
Yeah, we did have a schedule updated. We can redistribute that. I thought our office distributed that already.
I thought they did. The only thing is, well, I did actually, but I thought Jeff V said that he was going to do another update on that. Is that accurate, or did I misunderstand what he was saying?
I'll catch up with him and see if we need
Okay.
to make any other updates.
Okay. Continue.
All right, so moving on to the change order section of the meeting. Okay, so the COPs for review and approval, starting with the COPs out of owner's contingency. A handful here, starting with COP 251, has to do with signage, where we essentially added signage mainly due to code reasons, where we have wayfinding signs, exit signs. There were some directory changes as part of this signage package. The total $6,580.70. 339, I understand we're going to defer this to our April meeting,
That's correct.
but there is a COP out there to extend our general conditions in January. And then the time that we're coming back in April out of CM contingency. 347 has to do with hauling clean soil out of the phase 2 limits. Again, that's a CM contingency item, so there's no increase to the GMP. We did work premium time with our site work subcontractor, basically from the middle of November to the middle of January. I believe we've got a handful of Saturdays, and they did work, 2 hours extra roughly during the week over the course of that time frame. That is also coming out of our CM contingency, no increase to the GMP. And the last COP here, 364, is to address a couple door closers where the town has requested new closers. So we will remove and replace the door closers, and it's $1,039.74. And all of those total $7,620.44.
Okay, I'll introduce, or please, I would ask that someone introduce a motion for approval of COP 251, 347, 353, 364, totaling $7,620.44 via the owner's contingency. Mr. Mortensen,
So moved, Rod Mortensen.
is there a second?
Second.
Gail, thank you for making the second. Mr. Barron, would you take a roll call, please?
Yes, members are asked to signify their approval by saying aye, or their rejection by saying nay. Counselor Badreko,
Aye.
Counselor Minor,
Aye.
Mr. Claffey,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Woods.
Aye.
Mr. Murtha, you have not joined us yet, correct? All right, Mr. Harpy.
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it. It's unanimous, 6-0.
Or aye, I'm not sure. Consider to take action on fund transfer. Mr. Mortensen, would you make a motion to transfer the amount of $7,620.44 to the appropriate town areas as designated by Mr. Barron?
Well, you've actually made the motion, Joe, so I'll go so moved.
I gotta watch that. That's a very bad habit. Second,
Second, Mr. Minor.
all those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you very much. Frank?
Okay, thanks, Joe. So now we'll look at the COPs coming out of CIP funds being presented for approval this evening, starting with COP 307. Actually, the first three are all reconciliations of allowances that we held within the original GMP. So 307 has to do with the temp toilets. Just take note that this is a portion of the temp toilet allowance. We hope to give back more, but we want to reserve some funds until we get all the way to the end of the project. But right now, we have a give back of $15,000 for the temp toilet allowance. 308 is the rubbish removal allowance. Again, a portion of that is being given back at this point. $35,000 give back there. COP 327. We had a few more trades where we reconciled allowances. Those are the remaining trades. This is a final figure here on this particular COP, $9,813.64. I believe, I don't have it in front of me. There was a give back for the temporary fence allowance. We had an allowance for ceiling adjustments. And the third escapes me at the moment. Actually, if you want to just hang on, I have the COP handy. I just want to verify. The third allowance was from phase 2 where we held abatement allowances. So that was the third part of the equation that goes into that $9,813.64 deduct. 346, COP 346 is the contaminated soil and the structural backfill. We combine that into one COP, and some of this is actually offset by the CM contingency. This was originally 141,000 roughly. So some of that is allocated towards the CM contingency. So it's a net add of 87,978.50. COP 357 is to deal with some bollard lights at the lower level that had to come out due to demolition. This is the cost to put back bases, put back the bollards, and unfortunately we had to refeed the wiring to these bollards for $16,230.19. 363 is to put back heat at the PD in the stairwell. I believe this is at one of the landings in the stairwell for $5,252.45. And 365 is to install a PVC chain link fence on top of the modular retaining wall. And it really does two things. One is it conceals the generator, and it also is there for safety so that no one can fall off that wall in between the wall and the generator. And that total cost is $5,366.71. Total value of all the COPs I just went over is $55,014.21.
Frank, on 346, can you tell us how that's broken down, the 87,978 between the transportation cost of hauling it off-site? Do you have that?
Yeah, so Joe, roughly 75,000 was strictly to deal with the hauling and disposal of the polluted soil. And it was, we tracked it back to, we were able to hold the unit cost that was given to us from last year when we dealt with the fuel contaminated soil. It was about $60 a ton. So 75,000 represents the polluted soil, and I want to say 46,000 was the structural backfill, and then there's the associated markups too that are tacked onto that.
Did we get all the final reports on that? Is there any other action they're requiring us to take or recommend? Are we good to go? Do you know?
We're good to go. We don't need to do anything else.
Okay, so that's a silver lining in a cloudy cloud, I guess. And the
Can I just,
go ahead, Gail, please.
no, I was just wondering, because I really briefly read the COPs themselves, and is that structural backfill, that's the excess soil you found in the crawl space?
No, that's a totally different COP.
Oh, because I don't see it here.
Yeah, it was already voted on. It was COP 347.
Okay, thank you.
And the last question I had on this is on COP 363, the unit for PD, or the heating, I guess you said.
Yeah.
Which was originally tied to the boiler system in the old building.
That's correct.
So that's not considered a redo based on the plans that we had initially, or the what DTC approved?
What do you mean by a redo, Joe?
I mean, in the sense that are we saying that the building was never heated, or was the heating disconnected when the boilers got pulled?
Yes, as part of the demo of the old town hall, we had no choice but to remove the boilers. Unfortunately, those boilers fed the heater in the PD.
But we didn't have advanced knowledge from the engineering team that that was the case. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the COPs for approval totaling 55,014.21 cents. Mr. Minor? Mr. Woods?
I'll make a motion to approve COPs
Make a motion.
307. Go ahead, Chris.
Approve as presented.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you. Go ahead, Don. There seems to be a communication.
I'll make a motion to approve COPs 307, 308, 327, 346, 357, 363, and 365 for a total of $55,014.21.
I like your price better, Don.
All right.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second, Rod Mortensen.
Thank you, Rod. A roll call on this, Mr. Barron, please.
Yes, members are once again asked to signify their approval by saying aye or their disapproval by saying nay when their name is called. Council Badreko,
Aye.
Councilor Minor,
I think he fell off the call.
Okay. Keep
Mr.
moving.
Claffey,
Aye.
Mr. Mortensen,
Aye.
Mr. Woods,
Aye.
Mr. Harpy.
Aye.
The ayes have it. It's unanimous 5-0.
Okay, and will you require to consider and take action on fund transfers, Mr. Barron?
Yes, once a contingency is wiped out, I will need to transfer this money into another account. So yes.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion to take action on fund transfers. Gail, please make that motion.
Move that the indicated funds for COPs 307, 8, 27, 46, 57, 63, 65 be moved to the proper allocated accounts.
Okay, second, please.
Second, Rod Mortensen.
Okay, Mr. Minor seconds. Please signify your approval by saying aye or nay if you don't want it.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. So moved and so approved. Frank?
Okay, we'll keep swimming here. The orders of magnitude pending revisions, again, going against the CIP funds. James, if you could just scroll down for me a little bit.
Do we know why there isn't any representation from the design team this evening?
Oh, I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting that Chris wasn't able to make it. He informed me just before the meeting.
So no other member of the firm could attend?
I can't speak for
Yeah,
their
Okay.
office.
okay. Go ahead, please.
Okay. All right. So orders of magnitude pending out of CIP funds, COP 266, the flagpole brackets. This has been tough for us and the design team. I think we really just want to get to a point where we want to be assured by the manufacturer that we can notch these poles. We really want to stay with the design bracket. But in order to do that, we would have to notch the poles, and we just want to get a confirmation from the flagpole manufacturer that we wouldn't want to, certainly wouldn't want to void a warranty. So we have this pricing pretty much teed up and ready to go, but we're waiting for that piece of information to come from the manufacturer. We've tried multiple times. We'll keep trying. But if we can't get an answer soon, we'll have to go to a plan B, unfortunately. COP.
What would the plan B be?
Well, it would be a different it would be a different flagpole bracket. Unfortunately, it would be.
I got to tell you, based on the way this was managed on the design side or whatever, or from the manufacturer, we wouldn't have a flag in the whole United States if they were putting them out. They couldn't a freestanding pole. They'd have a problem with these poles.
Well, it is. Let me just say that
They'd have to get an unemployed person, I guess, just to hold the flagpole all day. I'm not sure what we would do.
It is,
Anyway,
I'll
carry
say
on.
this, it is a unique condition. It's not a conventional straight up and down flagpole in the ground or straight up and down mounted to the building.
But they
It
have
is a-
heard, we're sending people to the moon and maybe Mars, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
all
yeah, we
right.
can put man on the moon, but these brackets are stumping us. Anyway, yeah, the brackets are supposed to give the flagpoles a 5-degree tilt off the face of the building. So it is a custom bracket, and that's what's led to some of the back and forth on what the proper design should be. 339, the phase 2 winter conditions. So as we get through basically the skin of the PD, we are working under winter weather conditions. We've used heating blankets for the concrete, for the footings and foundation. We've got ground heaters out there. So all of that expense is rolled up into this COP for winter conditions. That is a CM contingency item. As I mentioned earlier, we are tapped out as far as the contingency goes. So this is really a weather dependent. It is somewhat of a moving target. When we put this COP together against the CM contingency, we did our best to try and assume a worst case scenario so that we wouldn't have to seek additional funds. But we'll have to keep an eye on this as we get through the next couple weeks to finish up at the PD. And then 355 is part of our final reconciliation. We will have to reach out to the trades to see what additional bond costs may come as a result of various trade contracts increasing. This is a typical process that we go through at the end of the job where we do reconcile the bond value of everyone's contract. So we've got an estimate peg there of $8,463. Okay, 367, is that where we left off, James?
Yes.
Okay, 367. We're looking at this. This is something recent having to do with framing off the south side of the soffit of the PD. I don't have a lot of information on this right now, other than we're looking at this with our subcontractor. This may or may not be an increase in cost, but we, to be conservative, we pegged a value on this of $2,645. And the winter conditions, can we just scroll back up? I thought we had the winter conditions flag in the other COP.
Yeah, we show that in 339, phase 2, winter conditions, 0 CM contingency.
Yes, 339
okay.
is also the COP for, it's been deferred till the April meeting.
Yes, correct. And 339, 339 is just the extended general conditions at this point. That's my mistake. The winter conditions, all of the winter condition expenses are in the COP down below.
The 369.
The 369. Yeah, so we had broken those out into 2 separate COPs. So the winter conditions, there is the value, 28,109.
Well, that's taken care of.
What's that, Joe?
I say that's been voted on, those items already.
No, these are approximate values. This has not been voted on. This,
No, I'm looking, I can't see it all. I'm sorry. I'm
yeah, I
seeing-
know, it's
I'm only seeing part of the screen, so.
yeah, me too. So anyway, the total value of the approximate changes that we're looking at now is 49,450. Again, going against CIP funds.
So
Don't
that's,
have any more rejected COPs to go over with you. I know that the January requisition is in process. We don't have any values compiled yet. I know that requisition is getting distributed over the next couple days. And then the day 2 work, again, nothing's really changed here from the last time we met, with the exception of 366, the art room and addressing cooling, again, with no real funds available to bolt this on anywhere. It had to get dropped down to the day 2 work. And I know that we're looking at options. So this obviously is a least cost assumption for this change, but depending on what option the design team is going to suggest could increase the cost. And I suppose this is something we'll have to discuss further with the town and how they want to handle it. The day 2 work, so now the day 2 work totals $109,894.
Popping back up to the police department work, the issue that came up at the phone in today to the project team on the discrepancy of the height of the steps to the landing to get in on one of the floors was like a foot off. Can you review that for the committee?
Yeah, so thanks for reminding me, Joe.
Yeah, because that's like a big boo-boo on DTC's part, a big boo-boo.
Yeah, so if you're in front of the dispatch, to the left of that bow window, we are supposed to be cutting in a new door there to get into the dispatch area. So we've made that opening in the masonry. Unfortunately, when we cut into that masonry to make the opening, you've got an elevation change. So you go from basically the sidewalk, and if we were to do nothing and just install the door, you'd go from the sidewalk and then you'd have to step up immediately to get onto the floor of the dispatch. So that basically means that we have to raise the door frame so that it sits flush with the interior of the dispatch. And now that creates a problem on the outside where most likely we'll have to construct some sort of ramp to ramp down to the existing sidewalk. So I know this has been brought up, as Joe mentioned, it was brought up this afternoon, and Quisenberry is going to be looking at this in the field tomorrow to come up with some options.
Well, they'll all cost money, no doubt.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, Councilor Minor has his hand raised.
Mr. Minor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm getting
Just
echo.
real quick,
Still there?
three,
Chris?
Yeah, he's having problems. with his internet.
366, just want to see if you can elaborate on that.
We're having a problem hearing you, sir. No, he's muted, isn't he? No?
He just got kicked out. He was asking about COP 366. But he's
Yeah,
not back
so-
yet.
Okay.
Did I wait?
Well, I think he was going to the fact of, is that part of the whole problem in the entire building with respect to various airflow and power usage conditions throughout the building?
Well, the answer would be no. It's specific to the art room. Basically in that particular area. So the art room, everybody remembers, is over on the community center side on the south side of the building. It's next to the multi-purpose room, and the art room is not on its own zone. It's actually a shared zone with the multi-purpose room. And that's why we have the differences in temperature. So there's some different thoughts there on how we can handle that by introducing some return air, cutting in some grills. We may have to change out equipment. But again, this is something that is sort of just in discussions right now. We haven't really nailed down a solution yet.
Kale, please, you have a question.
Yeah, maybe I missed this or, I'm sorry, but this weekend certainly brought it to mind. What's going on with the steps to the community center with the snow? I mean, it certainly must have manifested itself this weekend.
Bill DeMayo told me in a conversation today that he's responsible for cleaning the walks in that area.
Oh, so we're not going to do any modifications?
Mr. Chapman is evaluating the options that I sent to him several weeks ago from the design team, as well as other issues related to that. And he'll get back to me when he makes a decision or has enough information to make the decision that he thinks is appropriate to recommend.
Okay.
But
Thanks.
But he does have that issue on his plate, I can assure you.
Okay.
Counselor Minor's back with his hand up.
Mr. Minor, please.
Try this again. I appreciate it. 366.
Yeah,
Could you just elaborate on that a little bit more? Because I don't remember this conversation.
yeah. So the art room is adjacent to the multi-purpose room, Chris. And unfortunately, the art room is a shared zone with the multi-purpose room. So it's getting overcooled because of, I think because of this, the multi-purpose room is such a large space. It takes more to cool that area. So the art room has been very cold.
Okay. So is that an issue that is going to have to require being a completely separate zone? Is that the thinking?
That is one of the options. There's a few options that the design team has been bouncing around. So we haven't narrowed down one option yet.
Okay. And I presume they've got an RFI at this point because that seems to be the only way that is acknowledged.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Mr.
and just on the subject, Joe, I want to address the, you mentioned the other issues with respect to temperature control, because obviously the art room is one issue out of, various comfort issues throughout the building that we want to address. We've just been, it's been a challenge, to say the least, to get a response from DTC. And we have now set up a meeting this week on Friday to go over the RFIs with DTC directly and try to get some answers on some of these issues to keep it moving along.
I guess the mystery for the committee is what's really poor behavior on the part of DTC in terms of communicating. They're not rocket scientists, some of them. I mean, all they got to do is verify, yeah, that's it, and we're going to go with it. But I had an opportunity to review, in behalf of the committee, the commissioning agent for the town, Innovative Engineering Services, that was reviewing all of these and did a hell of a job for us, by the way. Spent a lot of time on their reports, and I give them every credit for that. Had pointed out a number of these things, and Downs has been going back and forth like a basketball game without a basketball. Try that sometime. And going up and down the court, and we're just not getting anywhere. And for every day that's delayed, it's another $1. And these issues were pointed out to them early on in many of these areas. And there was no response. And it's just really kind of put us on ice on some of these issues. And so some conclusion has to be made. If they don't want to do the work, then we would appreciate them just telling us we're no longer interested in doing anything with the project. And they can give us a reason or not. And then we'd have some basis for moving on in some direction. Right now, we keep going back, getting our head, getting hit, and not getting anywhere. And it's pervasive. And it goes from one area to another. And the last one you recall, Paul pointed out, the grand hallway, the degree difference in the grand hallway. And of course, town hall's not open, so the doors aren't being open. Extreme degree difference. Downs goes for clarification through the process, can't get an answer. And I will share unless there's some restriction on me, you tell me, Mr. Barron, if you prefer to do it, but I think the committee's owed to see the review, the October review that the commissioning agent did. And they can appreciate the hard work that was done in the town's behalf to safeguard us.
Yeah, that was a lengthy report, and that was also a preliminary report that is not their final
Yeah,
commissioning study. So
it's quite an
I would prefer to
education.
wait until the final commissioning study is
Okay.
received and then distribute that to the committee.
Okay, that's fine with me. But you get an education evaluating all the things. I mean, hundreds. I'm not exaggerating. Hundreds of things. Just incredible. So I don't know where we go with all this with DTC, but Mr. Claffey, you have a question, please.
Just in regards to the preliminary report, maybe Mr. Barron can elaborate or no. Is there anything we should be concerned about as a committee? And if so, what are our steps to prep ourselves or other parties like Frank or Down or Colliers, et cetera?
The report did contain many areas of concern, and a number of those areas have been addressed by Downs, and they're looking for some answers at this Friday meeting, trying to get some answers to RFIs, questions that have been asked for weeks, in some cases months, throughout the course of the project, for which DTC has not provided answers.
Okay.
So there are many such areas, as I recall, the report focused in on, I want to say 12 or 13 different areas.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're progressing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I don't think we should misrepresent anything to the committee here. To be clear, there's a concern that some of these units are undersized. Now, it's just a concern at this point because we can't get clarification.
Okay.
If that gets to be a very pervasive issue, that's one hell of a gigantic cost.
No, Joe, that's why I'd asked the question.
That's what your point is, Anthony.
No, yeah, no, and I've never seen the report, so I'm just throwing it out there that, like, we are aware of some, now I'm aware, like, I mean, I assume there's always little tweaks and stuff that have to get done. But I feel confident if Jeff, Barron, and you, on behalf of us, are keeping us informed of these possibly larger issues. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Downs is on top of it as well. But there's so much to look at. I suppose it gets difficult to keep up with it.
All right.
Oh, question, Robinson.
Mr. Mortensen, please.
Yeah, I'm pretty frustrated with this. To my knowledge, and I don't think I've missed maybe one meeting since I've been put on the committee. The council decided to hire Collier to kind of almost double check, the committee, when I wasn't on it, decided to go with the CM form of construction here. So in many ways, obviously Downs was looking out for us, but they wanted to hire Collier to kind of override the whole project. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember being updated on any meeting. There's been questions asked, for instance, on certain issues that might have been a mistake on, let's say, the architect's part that Collier made note of. But correct me if I'm wrong, the committee hasn't seen any list or ongoing list of things that Collier has tagged. The committee's like in a dark operating here, sometimes not knowing what's wrong or what had happened until after the fact. And I'm afraid of when the wheels clear the curb, let's say you're saying that the response of DTC is less than stellar. Where does it leave us? For things that you could undersize these units, there's such temperature problems in the town hall, is just totally unacceptable to me. You're talking about the main mechanicals of this building. If it's too hot or too cold and not getting any response out of them or whoever, I'm not pointing the fingers at anybody. All I know is the committee doesn't really have, and I know Jeff said that this report is not the final report, but let's say we get the final report and our eyeballs pop out. And then what does the committee do? And it's not the committee, as most people, I assume on the committee, realize that would be going after any parties, whatever. This is going to be a possible legal action, but that doesn't change the fact that we're trying to get this town hall done, opened, working properly. And I feel like the whole committee, we've kind of been, this has been a one damn unique project, is kind of left in the dark and not getting a response out of somebody that was duly hired and paid along the way is just totally unacceptable to me. And I don't know what needs to be done to get a fire lit under them, but you know, you don't want to resort to legal action right off the bat. We're technically not finished with the project, and we have a lot of issues, and some of these that we have not known about. And like I said, if we saw that final report now, I'm guessing that there's going to be a lot of unhappy people, and I don't know what to do about it, to be honest with you. But I think I'd like to see something if possible. I know that Collier technically works for the council, and I don't know, I've watched council meetings on TV and I haven't seen any specific lists of things that they have brought to the council, and we sure as heck don't know about it. And when do people find out about it? And then what do we do about it? I'm just venting, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you, Rod. Frank, you're going to have a meeting, a call-in Friday with DTC?
Yeah, so as you know, Joe, from our meeting this afternoon, we again expressed our frustration with the whole DTC team. Unfortunately, they've gone through quite a bit of restructuring. That's no excuse. They've infused some new blood from their firm. We are getting one of their vice presidents supposedly involved. And I expect him and there's a couple other people from that team to be on the call Friday, including the commissioning agent, who has been a big help to us. We have gone through those reports when they do come out from the commissioning agent. We have addressed a lot of those concerns, Joe, as you pointed out. You know, we're not clean on this either. I'll admit. I mean, there were some parts that were faulty. And some of that, you know, I hate to say it, but some of that is just part of the cycle, working through the system. If you guys recall, at one point I did mention a control valve for RTU1 getting replaced for the gym. You know, units being undersized, that would be a worst case scenario. I really don't expect that. I know there were some isolated, there's an isolated issue with the unit in the vestibule on the west side where they have some low temperature readings. So I'm hoping that we can either ramp up the output of that unit somehow through the building management system and not have to resort to a full-blown replacement of that unit.
Right. Now, will you have an opportunity at that meeting? Will they be bringing solution-based discussion along with them, or are they just going to go over? Did you have an opportunity to say, we want a solution-based kind of a meeting on this thing? And you know what we're asking for.
I mean,
asking for it since.
Yeah, that's certainly the goal. I mean, they've had, you know, some of these RFIs have been out there for a while. So it's not like they have, you know, just a day or two to digest this information. It's been staring at them for a while now. So
your anticipation is when this call happens, you're going to go through items, specific items that you've submitted 1,000 times to them to get an answer on. Is that your?
Well, that is my hope. But again, we've gone through several people at this point. You know, every time someone else gets involved, we have to reintroduce the information. But you know, we're doing our best to get to a point where we can get a resolution.
You know, I'll just say one more word on this. I think the town, I know the town and the committee and our service providers, for the most part, have been honest, forthright, made a real hard effort to keep this thing going, chugging along through all the challenges, not worth repeating, that we've lived through. And to have a player so critically important to us go to sleep for reasons that we don't even know is very frustrating to the committee. I'm sure you can appreciate that.
We certainly can. It's been frustrating for Downs too.
And as you read, Innovation Engineering Services commissioning report, as you just gleam through it, and you see the word, this is concerning. This is concerning. All through pages and pages, this is concerning. Yeah, it is concerning. Very concerning that you can't get a resolution or an answer. And I think we're at a tipping point with this project, ladies and gentlemen. We are at a tipping point. If we can't get this information soon, we're not sure what that tunnel is going to bring. If it's a train or it's just a clear tunnel, that's the honest answer. For all the effort put in, for all the metrics put in, right at the end of this project, this dinosaur raises its head. The same dinosaur who put us in a bad position with MDC, that didn't make the proper notifications to MDC, because all those conversations are recorded, and they tried to adjudicate this by saying they called down there. They weren't on anybody's call. And then they send poor Gerber down there, right, to get his permit. And Gerber comes back, I can't get the permit. I mean, right then and there, these guys were weak in the knees. But anyway, enough of that said. You know how we feel, and we'll move forward. Is there anything? Do you have photos you want to show us?
Yeah, I have some photos. There were some finished photos from October, Joe. I
Okay.
had talked to Chris. I didn't want to steal all the thunder from those guys, but he said, go right ahead. So if you want, I can present those photos too.
Does the committee want to see them? Interior photos? I guess I'll take that as a yes.
All right. Well, we'll start with the phase 2 progress photos. I don't have a lot of glamour shots because there's not a whole heck of a lot that you can actually see going on at this point. But James, if you can go to those progress photos.
You want to go with the 5 first before the slideshow?
Yes, please.
Okay, hold on. Oops, wrong one.
Oh.
Sorry.
Shazam.
Oh, you
There's
spoiled
one.
That's the shuffleboard room.
There you go.
All right, so the town hall on the west side, you can see off in the distance. I didn't mention it in the update, but the signage is there on the town hall to identify that it is the town hall. And you can see the subgrade prep for the parking lot, the cones, the short cones, those are sitting on top of light pole bases. This photo was taken more than a few days ago. Probably towards the end of last week, this photo was taken. So a lot more progress has been made there. We can go to the next one. As the walkway, I believe that was at the end of last week. Just the shot looking towards Cedar Street.
You can see Frank's shadow there.
Yeah.
6 more weeks of winter.
Yeah, right.
You
Yeah.
better be right, Frank.
We have the Mortensen Community Center and again, the subgrade prep in front of there. Looks very nice.
You're gonna have bushes all along that line?
There's some level of plantings there. I don't know the configuration exactly, but
Okay.
there'll be some plantings there. All right, next photo. And we say farewell to our office trailer. Spent a lot of time in that trailer. But that trailer did leave the job site at the end of last week. So there's a shot of it. We all said goodbye to the trailer.
Nobody broke a bottle of champagne on it, huh, on the way up?
No. So this photo, not a progress photo, but I guess it is a progress photo. It's progress of the closeout process that we owe to the town. So the 3 binders you see standing up, that's volumes 1, 2, and 3 of the closeout documentation that we are providing to the town. We did speak with the town. They would like to have 2 sets of those binders. So we're in the process of making the second set. We also have a flash drive, and we've documented all of the training on all of the equipment. All of the operation and maintenance manuals are included in those binders, including the warranties, the as-built drawings. There will be an as-built provided by the site work subcontractor upon completion of their work in the spring, including an A2 survey that we will turn over to the town. So I just wanted to point that out. We see a lot of the, the construction work, but there's also a lot of work that's happening, behind the scenes. People from our office that help put this project together. So it's a lot of work for us to do, but we're happy to do it. And we are trying to pull this off so that we can turn over the binders by the end of the week. All right, we can get to the finished photos of the new town hall. James, is this a slideshow? Do I have a time limit on these?
No, I've got it paused right now. We can go through them one by one.
Oh, okay. All right. So again, these are all just finished photos taken back in October. There was a photographer commissioned by Quisenberry to go through and take finished photos. A lot of you have walked through, you've seen most of these spaces, but this was just another opportunity for us to, showcase the hard work that everybody put into this.
Yeah, and I think it'll give the public a better sense that hasn't been able to have access to the building, what they paid for, and hopefully they're pleased with it.
Right.
Go ahead, Frank.
Yep. So I believe this is the second floor,
Yes.
one of the lobby spaces. And if we can go to the next slide or photo. There's a conference room on the second floor. This particular room has some flexibility in that you can divide it up into 3 conference rooms, which I guess could be advantageous with our current COVID situation. And that's the finished product of that room. Just don't look down. Okay, another hallway shot on I believe this is the second floor. You can see the signage to indicate the departments on the wall. Again, nice clean look. And just another angle there, the elevator to the right. The elevator operator actually did come back today. We did make some camera adjustments for the town. So that work is complete. That was something that we actually presented to you all at the last committee meeting. So that work is done. We can go to the next slide. Go to the next one. And that is the council chambers. Again, having the ability to divide that into multiple spaces, depending on what type of events are being held. Looks like at the time this photo was taken, there was still some level of audio visual setup in
Right.
that room, but it's quite a big space, as you can see. And there you can see, maybe one day we'll get to sit in that room and have a meeting in person. That would be nice. I'm looking forward to that, to get back to that, as I'm sure you all are. But that piece of furniture, that's actually millwork that we installed as part of the project. And that entire council chambers has like a wainscoting around it with a wall covering above it. And really turned out to be a great space.
Yeah, this is an early photo, huh?
Yeah, this was from, I believe it's October. So
Yeah.
everything's moved in and they were
Finished
just going,
stuff, beautiful, yeah,
yeah, they were just going through some final hookups there.
right.
Another shot. I think that's Paul in the photo, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's our contractor
Oh, okay.
from,
Thought maybe it
Vision
was
Point.
Paul.
Yeah,
That's
Vision
another
Point.
wall, right?
And there is the Grand Hall, just looking straight down at the town seal off in the distance. Again, nice and shiny. And typical department setup there on the left and the right to take care of whatever business you need
Yeah.
to take care of in the town hall.
Easy
Yeah.
access to the collector and the town clerk and the assessor's office.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
this will serve really as the main entrance. So once that new parking lot is finished, I believe that's where most of the people will be parking to take care of their business at the town hall.
Yep.
This is really the first thing. This is the first impression they get walking into the building. Just another angle. Kind of looks like the canopies are floating in space there, which is kind of neat.
They might well be.
No, there are some fasteners there, Joe. Just another angle. Close-up shot of the town seal that we had special made. The seal was etched on a glass panel. Some people like it, some people don't. That's a typical department setup. Not sure if this is the building department.
No, that's
The
assessor.
assessor's office.
That's a set, okay, that's on the first floor, that's right. That's the assessor's office, okay.
Same location, just a different view.
Different angle, okay.
You get James in any of these photos? We're not seeing them. What's
Oh,
going
no, I hide for photos.
I think he's coming up.
on?
Okay, there's a shot of the finished product in the gym.
There's all the glory herself, the community center. Quite beautiful, very functional.
I hope they get to play some basketball soon. I think they are, right?
Hopefully. They have already, I guess, early on before,
Yeah,
it got bad again.
so all the bleachers in place, all of the equipment. We are waiting for one more scoreboard controller. We're trying to get that through our vendor. And we'll turn that right over to Bill DeMail. That was a change that came towards the end of the project.
Mr. Minor, you had a question, please. Mr. Minor? I see his hand is raised, James, but I can't hear him.
He's just connecting his audio right now.
Mr. Minor?
Muted.
Okay, why don't you go ahead then, Frank, till he comes on.
All right. And just some more angles of the gymnasium to give you an idea of the sheer size of that space. It's pretty impressive.
This community center is everything and more, I think, than what people expected. And I understand there are many towns very envious of us around New England and outside of New England, actually, that Billy tells me about. And so I think there's a lot of potential enjoyment and fun and good activities for this center for a very long building lifetime. It's an excellent facility, absolutely.
There's a shot of the daycare center with the cubbies for the kids' galoshes and coats.
And mask.
And a mask, can't forget the mask.
Yeah.
And there's a peek outside the gymnasium where someday we'll get to serve some hot dogs again, maybe some popcorn.
Yeah, there you go.
The concession area. Just another shot of that same space, lobby area. I think that's where most of the people will come in for games.
I believe so. Yeah, that entrance.
And this is the multi-purpose room. Not sure what the Parks and Rec has in store for this. Maybe some yoga, maybe some Zumba, some
Yeah.
salsa.
Yeah. That's another great piece of the facility that people will.
Yeah,
very
and
much.
there's some flexibility in this room too with the divider partitions to partition off the room.
Excuse me, Frank, is that the area that if you walk out those two doors, it brings you right out into Garfield, like where the grass is, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the end of the show, Frank.
Okay.
No James picture? Come on.
No, no, no.
He pulled it.
Told you, I know how to hide.
Thank you, James, and thank you, Frank, for
No
that.
problem.
Thank you.
You have any other issues you want to bring up, Frank? Or is that do it?
I think that'll do it for tonight.
All right, sir. Any
We
other
covered a
business?
lot.
Thank you very much, Frank. Any other business pertinent to the committee?
Mr. Minor still has his hand up.
Minor. Talk to me, buddy.
We'll try this again. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
They got the partition door hardware straightened out for the gym.
Yeah, I did mention that. We did take care of that. We are waiting for approval. We did reach out to the local building official for a re-inspection so that we could get a TCO to use that door. And my understanding is we are now waiting for Paul Boutat to make an inspection so that we can get an approval.
Okay. So that still has no TCO to operate fully with the partition closed then, right?
That's correct, but we did retrofit the hardware there, so we did install what the local building official was asking for, so that we could be ADA compliant. I don't anticipate there to be any issues.
Okay. All right. Hopefully we never have to do that again. Hey, that was Canada, wasn't it?
What's that?
That was a vendor from Canada?
Well, CB Seating is out of New Hampshire, or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was CRF Interiors. They're actually a local contractor.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, move to public participation. James, do you see anybody out there?
We have two individuals. If they're interested, well, no, I take that back. We're down to one. Any interest, they can use the raise hand feature in Zoom or *9 on their phone.
And if you are recognized, please state your name and address.
Yeah, and our last attendee just left as well.
Okay. Comments by committee members.
Just potential date for our next meeting, barring,
Be the first Wednesday of April.
okay, and
Be
may
not-
I ask, if possible, through you, Chair, that after Friday's meeting, if there's any write-up, it can be sent out, kind of like what Rodney Mortensen was saying, is that, we just don't want to be left out in the lurch. Even if it's a quick little memo that we met, we're making progress, et cetera.
Oh, after the meeting, sure, absolutely.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Got it. Any other comments by committee members? Okay, well, we're not going to, excuse me, have any meeting in March because there's really a total shutdown. I will be every 2 weeks having participation in the project meetings. I will communicate with you all like I do on any issues that come of that. And then give you a little rest for the month of March. I just want to say, never have so many, in my opinion, owed so much to so few. So many being the population in Newington, so much is this great project. Despite a few misdirections. This is still a great project, and consistent with the desire of the majority of people in Newington. By so few, you being the few, the committee, and all the efforts that you've made and the cooperation that we've received from administration and our service provider, Downs. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second, Rod Mortensen.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Good night. Take care.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
How'd it go?
Good.
Good.
Thought it went very well.
Are you feeling better?
Yeah.